If you want to know how you can be mentored, if you want to know how to predict the future and how to know exactly what to do by modeling what other people are doing, you're going to find this episode incredibly interesting. So let's just get started. Dave, would you find it interesting to know how to predict the future?
Yes, I know that you've been doing it for a very long time, and it's kind of spooky. I only know three people who are capable of predicting the future. My dad always used to do it at Christmas and New Year. He would say whether it's a good year coming up or not. You can do it, and you work out exactly what the years can be like, which always fascinates me. And years ago, when I used to be working on the holiday resorts in the UK, we had a dancer who's part of our group called Debbie, and she used to introduce the lady who would predict the future, and she thought her name was clairvoyant. So she'd go, "Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for clairvoyant." And the whole room would go, "Really? Are you sure about that?" But she never got on. She never caught it. That was maybe the title and not her name. So yeah, I'm really fascinated to find out how.
Yeah, it is very interesting to be able to foresee and to forecast what's going to happen. Actually, yesterday we were having a conversation and we were saying, well, how can we do a new positioning? And we were talking about the name industry forecaster. And I think this is a great name because it's exactly what it is. A mentor can help you forecast because, of course, they have the vision of what's going to be happening. And to be able to predict the future, the first thing that you need is to be able to put together the patterns in the past. In hypnosis, Dave, you require a lot of, you're required to identify a lot of patterns, and that's how you work with hypnosis, right?
Yep, yeah, absolutely. You work out, hypnosis is all about regression. It's all about taking them back to things that have happened in the past and changing their relationship to it. But what you can also do is once they're freed from all the stuff that's happened in the past, you can look at what they want in the future and clear the way so they're starting to move forward without any challenges. And so when you combine that with a vision board or a set of goals or a set of systems, you can fast track incredibly to get the stuff that you want because your brain is completely focused on moving forward and getting what you want out of life. So yeah, hypnosis and meditation are hand in hand with that, and prayer as well.
Yeah, so let's just talk a little bit about patterns because that's exactly what predicting the future is going to be about. And of course, it's linked to mentors because you can get to understand what's going to happen in the future if somebody can actually just show the different patterns which are happening in the past. Now, I'm going to talk about a book that I read in 1997. I mean, we're talking about 25 years ago or whatever it is.
Very long time, Ernesto. Very long time.
Very long time. This book, The Fourth Turning, written by Wlliam, Strauss, and Neil Howe, opened my eyes to the incredible power of putting together the dots into creating patterns and understanding what's going to be happening. Now, I have to say that I was actually really bummed that I did not see this pandemic coming. And you know what happened recently, Dave? I went back to seeing the book, and the pandemic is actually mentioned in page 403 that it was going to happen in the year 2020, and I missed it.
Oh my goodness! It's your
fault.
God. Then.
It's my fault. Yeah.
You could have told me.
Exactly.
One of my cars.
The interesting thing is there wasn't a pattern. I mean, in reality, we had never been able to see a pattern because the last time that this really happened, as it is happening right now, it was in 1918. So of course, I read the information, but I didn't really know exactly how it was going to be applying. And if I read it, I mean, I said, well, yeah, this is too far-fetched. So this is what happens, why it's so critical that you understand how the patterns are working. So I recommend you guys to read The Fourth Turning because it's very It's incredibly accurate. So order it in Amazon, start reading it, because it's going to make a big, big change. Now, if you don't have the time to read the book, which I definitely recommend, this is one of those books that you need to have in your desk because it's so incredibly accurate. Now, let me just explain to you how exactly it works. Once again, everything is through patterns. So this is an example of how the fourth turning works. So as you can just see over here, the patterns go into 1773, which they had the Revolutionary War. The Constitution was approved, and this, by the way, is it's based on the history of the United States. The history of every country might have some different feels to it, but it's very similar in every single country around the world. Then we have another cycle, which is 1850. Then we have another cycle that starts in 1929, which is exactly when the fall down from the stock exchange, and then the last one started in 2008. So what these guys are saying in the fourth turning is that every cycle, which is basically, if you think about it, a century in French, the word century in French, it's a cycle, which is a cycle, lasts about 83 to 84 years. So every 83 to 84 years, every single cycle goes through, and that cycle is divided in the same way as the seasons in through the years. So you have first spring, summer, autumn, winter. And in history, they have a different name, which I will show you here for a moment. They are called High Awakening, Unraveling, Crisis, and that's how it all goes. So there's 4 seasons or 4 turnings, and that's why the reason of the book. That's why the book is called The Fourth Turning.
I was going to say, on that previous diagram, it said 2028, Christ's return. That's quite a big thing to ignore, by the way. I just thought I'd mention that. You know,
Well,
so in 8 years' time, when Christ comes back, and you go, "Oh, I knew there's something I should have told you about."
No. Right. Actually, what happens is that we are entering into the beginning of the crisis. Actually, the crisis is going to last till 2028. We will explain to you exactly how this is going to last. I mean, this is an 8-year period, which is basically until 2005. And they have been predicting this already since 1991. I used to talk about it. I have a number of different videos on YouTube about this. And as you can see, the cycle started in 2008. So it's, the crisis part lasts until 2028. So we are right now in the very last section of it, and that's why it's so critical that we understand how this all works. So just basically by looking at this, we can see that there's 4 different archetypes, 4 different people that lived on every single stage: the artists, the prophets, the nomads, the heroes. And if we translate it into generations, we are going to have the millennials, we're going to have the baby boomers, we're going to have the silent generation, we're going to have Generation X, and each and every single one of them has and plays a role throughout life. So might sound a little bit complicated, but the reason why I wanted to explain this to you was because right now you definitely need somebody to guide you through this very tough time that we are going to be getting into. So I'm going to show you a video because I don't want to go too much into this because we could just be talking about this the whole episode.
You've scared me now.
It is scary. It is actually scary. And wait until you see this video. I mean, this video this video this video is compelling. It's a compilation of an explanation done by our friend Roger Hamilton that we met a long time ago there in Dubai.
Yeah.
And he's going to explain what's going to happen now. And you're going to see how accurate it is. And then we will tell you how you need to prepare for all these chaos. Have a look.
In their book, The Fourth Turning, this is exactly what they say about each of the 5 different stages, starting with stage 1, the spark. A spark will ignite a new mood. The CDC announces the spread of a new communicable virus. Congress enacts mandatory quarantine measures. Mayors resist. Urban gangs battle suburban militias. Calls mount for the president to declare martial law. So this is actually from the book where they're going through the different scenarios of what's likely to happen, which actually triggers the crisis, which means what you've seen so far is just the beginning. It's not the crisis itself. After the first phase, which is what we're in right now, comes the second stage, which is disruption. This is what they say about what's about to come. The new mood and its jarring new problems will provide a natural endpoint for the unraveling era decline in civic confidence. As the crisis catalyzes, these fears will rush to the surface, jagged and exposed. Distrustful of some things, the individuals will feel that their survival requires them to distrust more things. This behavior could cascade into a sudden downward spiral and implosion of societal trust. So everything we're going through right now is not about coronavirus. Everything we're going through right now is not about the riots in the streets. Everything we're going through is about a breakdown of the trust of the old system in order for a new system to be created, which has happened at every single time that there's been a fourth turning. So what about the third stage, which we can expect to see maybe 6 months or even 12 months away from now? The third stage is collapse. At some point, America's short-term crisis psychology will catch up with the long-term post-unraveling fundamentals. This might result in a great devaluation, a severe drop in the market price of most financial and real assets. As assets devalue, trust will further disintegrate, which will cause assets to devalue further, and so on. Many Americans won't know where their savings are, who their employer is, what their pension is, or how their government works. Before long, America's old civic order will seem ruined beyond repair. People will feel like a magnet has passed over society's disk drive, blanking out the social contract, wiping out old deals, clearing the books of vast unpayable promises to which people have once felt entitled. And so what about stage 4? Stage 4 is the climax. It's the peak of the whole thing, just like when you have a wave, it rises, and then it crashes. From this trough and from these dangers, the makings of a new social contract and new civic order will arise. This battle could be peaceful or violent, involving public and private militias. Decisive events will occur, events so vast, powerful, and unique that they lie beyond today's wildest hypotheses. Armed confrontation usually occurs around the climax of the crisis. If there is confrontation, it's likely to lead to war. This could be any kind of war: class war, war against terrorists, or superpower war. And that takes us to stage 5, because stage 5 is new beginnings. And this is what we can be expecting in the coming years as this crisis plays out. The economy will in time recover. Compared to today, it will be less globally dependent, with smaller cross-border trade and capital flows. And emerging in this crisis climax will be a great entropy reversal, that miracle of human history in which trust is reborn. In a moment of maximum danger, that seed will implant and a new social contract will take root. For a brief time, this American feminine will be malleable in ways that would stagger today's unraveling era mindset. The crisis climax will recede into the public memory, a heart-pounding memory to all who will recall it personally, a pivot point for those born in its aftermath, the stuff of myth and legend for later generations. What are 3 things you can do with all this information? Number 1, don't get caught up in the hysteria of the media. The more you have a sense of what's coming, the less you're going to be surprised or shocked when it actually happens. Number 2, expect things to get worse before they get better. So now is not the time to go like crazy, like celebrating about the fact that we suddenly have an end to the lockdown. This is a time to be cautious and to be ready for battening down the hatches for the winter that's coming. And the third thing is get ready for a new beginning. While it's not going to happen overnight, it is going to come in the next couple of years. And this is a moment in time which only happens once in a lifetime. As Mark Twain said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. The more in tune you are with the whole seasons of not just nature, but humanity itself, the more we actually can go out there and shape that humanity.
Hug me, Ernesto. Hug me. I feel really bad. Nanu. From Dubai to Abu Dhabi to Houston. It's really strange hearing that. The only thing he didn't say is there's going to be a zombie holocaust on the back of that, so make sure you keep a pickaxe in your house. Everything else is, oh my goodness.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that this is not the first time it happened. I mean, it is an end of an era, and it is also the beginning of another era, and this is exactly where two are colliding. So I revisited this book recently because, I mean, right now we are incredibly confused with what's going on. I mean, people are completely confused, but if you saw, it's exactly what is happening. And for me, after I revisited the book again, it was incredibly surprising to see that the pandemic was actually mentioned in page 403, and it's incredibly accurate. So I believe that this is exactly where we're going, and the new beginnings are going to start in the year 2023, 2024, and it's going to be a transition. But these next 2 or 3 years are going to be very, very difficult, and I think we need to be prepared and we need to find new ways. Now, when all these crises happen, it is also a growth of incredible opportunities, but we need to have that right mentality. And there's nothing better than having a mentor which can actually guide you through that process.
Absolutely. By the way, guys, if you found this useful and you're enjoying it, make sure that you leave your comments, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you smash the notification bell to make sure that every single time we broadcast and share this kind of content, you get to find out about it first. We're live on Facebook. We're sharing it across lots of different formats later on. And we love the fact that you're with us, which we're glad for, but you also need to make sure you share it with your friends. If you can do a live watch party, and that means your friends will get it automatically, and make sure you subscribe to join our Fast Forward show, which is it's exclusive on a Thursday. You can't get in unless you've actually joined us. And you can see underneath the URL, facebook.com/groups/Fast Forward show. And that's the only way you get to find out how you can deep dive on this content. And Ernesto is sharing some incredible gems about how to change the world and how you need to be a part of it. So with that, Ernesto, back to you. Oh my goodness. Thanks for watching the show. We hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure you watch all the videos over here. There's two choices for you. Or, of course, I'm Dave Crane coming in from Dubai.
And this is Ernesto Verdugo coming from Houston.
And I think we should send a message. Hold on.
What is this?
Subscribe.